Tough conversations can pop up anywhere, whether it's in the sword alley, the pickup cab, or over supper at the kitchen table. And let's be honest, navigating those talks can leave everyone involved feeling frustrated, unheard, or stuck. That's why I created a free guide, Handling Hard Conversations, 3 Steps to Creating Space for Clarity, Connection, and Mutual Respect. In this quick and practical resource, you will learn how to pause and ground yourself before your emotions run wild, validate both yourself and others, building trust, and how to ask honest questions that lead to real connection. These 3 simple steps can help you communicate better and keep your relationships, whether it's with your family, your crew, or your spouse, strong and steady, even on the hard days. Download your free copy today and start moving more smoothly through those hard conversations with confidence. The link is in the show notes, so go grab it now. Here's to drawing good movement.
I'll carry you, you carry me, we'll help each other through it. Come on and say good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. This episode is coming the week after Tom and I spoke at the Goodmanson Sandhills Laboratory Open House about good movement, draws good movement, and a stockmanship approach to communication and relationships. And in that talk, during our time at GSL, I got to talk about one of my very most favorite things to talk about, and that is validation. And we have talked about validation a time or two on this podcast. And we're going to talk about it again today because I have a really fresh and interesting illustration for us about validation. The reason that I like talking about validation so much is because there's this common misconception that validation means that we have to be in agreement. If we are validating someone, that is synonymous with agreeing with them. And that is just not true. Validation is seeing someone and acknowledging what they're going through. It in no way means that you agree. You don't have to agree. You don't even have to understand what someone is going through in order to validate them. And this example or illustration is cows. We currently have 4 cows in our barnyard. One of the 4 has been very aware and very nervous and cannot handle a lot of pressure. If you were to put too much pressure on her, she would be the type that would run you over or jump some fences or, that sort of thing. We're feeding them every day, so we are close to them every day. In the beginning, when they were first in the barnyard and we started feeding them in the little trough that we have in there, she would be way away from you and her head would be up and her eyes would be wide and she would have that look. And if you have ever handled cattle, you know that look. That it could either be they're eating your lunch and running you down or they're going to go jump the fence. She had that look about her. And at first, I took the approach of just not paying attention to that, like just going about my business, putting the feed in the trough, turning the water on, going about my business as if nothing unusual was happening. She was fine. I just ignored it, basically. And that approach did not help. So I adopted a different approach. When I would go in there, whether I was feeding or not, walking through the pens, and she would put her head up and be very aware of me, I would see that. And then I would take a step back. In essence, I was validating her. I was seeing her and letting her know that I saw her nervousness and I was taking a step back to relieve some of that pressure on her. I was saying, I see you. I acknowledge that you've got something going on. And so I'm just going to take a step back. And as I was thinking about this just this morning when I was deciding what to talk about here on this episode, I was thinking about those two different approaches and how they can apply to humans. We can, in our human to human relationships, also ignore what's going on in someone else, especially if it's someone close to us, like our spouse or our kids. We can see what's going on or that something's going on, and we can choose not to say anything and not to acknowledge it. We can choose to not validate them. But what that does is not what we think it's going to do. We think it's going to make whatever that's happening go away and that it will just eventually be better. Like I thought with the cow, if I just do my own thing and don't acknowledge what she's telling me, then she's going to eventually just get better and be cool with me being here. And that is not what happened. But when I started acknowledging her and validating her and seeing her and taking a step back and telling her that I recognized something was going on and then giving her that space, that is when she started to calm down and allow me to walk closer to her, and her head has come down, and now I can get within a cow's width away from her and she doesn't feel the need to leave. She still is aware and still watching me, but she does not feel as tense and look as reactive as she did when I was simply just ignoring her. And the same can be said for, again, our human to human relationships. When we validate people, when we see them and acknowledge what they're going through, even if we don't understand it. Like, I don't understand what is going on with this cow. I don't understand why she is so nervous and aware and tense when we walk into the pen to feed her because she likes the feed. She comes right up and eats. I don't understand that. I don't know what happened to cause her to feel that way. And I don't need to know in order to validate her. And the same goes for our human relationships. We don't need to understand why the person is behaving the way they are or what happened to cause them to behave the way they are. It's great if we want to be curious about that, but we don't need to know that information in order to validate people. We just need to see it and acknowledge it. And in cows, seeing it, you see it. And then acknowledging it is taking the step back. In humans, it might sound like something like, I see that something's going on. I don't quite understand what that is, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. That's validation. That's in no way saying, I agree, or I know what you're going through. You're not saying I know because you don't know. You don't need to know what's happening in order to validate. And again, ignoring what you see in your fellow humans is not going to do what you think it's going to do. Ignoring what you're feeling within yourself is also not going to do what you think it's going to do. You think by ignoring what you're feeling, it will just eventually dissipate and go away, but that's not the way it works. In the same way, other humans want to be validated. We also want to be validated. Everyone wants to be seen and heard and feel felt. And so if you are in a place where you're trying to ignore something within you, I want to encourage you to validate yourself. In the same way that we can validate cows, validate other humans, we can validate ourselves. And that simply looks like, I am feeling sad. That's all it is. It's acknowledging that you're feeling sad. You don't even have to understand why you're feeling sad or what happened to cause you to feel sad, because sometimes that's not immediately apparent. And you don't need to know that in order to validate yourself. Validating yourself and others goes a long way to helping move those feelings through. Just like with the cow, like when I was ignoring her, that wasn't helping her. In fact, I would say it was probably making things worse. But as soon as I started seeing her and acknowledging her, that's when things started to improve. That's when she could move that tenseness through. And it's the same for us. As soon as we start validating ourselves and validating what we're feeling, those feelings don't hang around. They move through. And if you are ready to dive deeper into this and have someone see you and sit with you and validate you other than yourself, I want you to know that I am here. And so if you are interested, click the link in the show notes and schedule free 30-minute consult call where we can talk about what that looks like inside of my one-on-one good movement guidance. And with that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.